Okay, I'm going to start with the bare basics in case you were like me a couple of months ago and didn't even know how to plug in your sewing machine. Like I said in the first couple of lessons, I have a very basic machine, and so hopefully you'll be able to follow based on my machine. If not, just kind of check out your directions that came with your machine to figure out how to plug in and start up. You're going to have a ton of, it's like a three-sided cord almost. There's going to be one part that's going to be your pedal foot, one part that's going to plug into the wall, and another that's going to plug into your machine. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug mine into the wall. And if you look on your machine, there's a part that you can't plug it in wrong. It's got grooves in it, at least mine does, and you are just going to plug it in. And mine has an on-off switch right here above it. When it's off, there's no light on, and you can tell when it's on. When it's on, do not press the pedal foot, because your needle is going to go, and it's not good for it to run with no cloth under it. And that's it. Your machine's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and show you the next part of how to get your machine ready to start actually sewing. You are going to need, I'm going to use red because it will show up better and you'll be able to see it better. I just have an all-purpose thread. That's all I've ever bought, at least so far. What you're going to do is you're going to start out with your large roll, and I want you to put it up on the top. Mine has a part that goes up and down. Just pull it all the way up and stick your thread on there, okay? And what we're going to do before we actually thread the whole machine, you have to get your bobbin ready. And the reason you've got to have both of these ready is because when you sew, there's a top and a bottom layer, and they weave in and out with each other, and so we've got to get this ready. First thing I do is I take an end of my thread, and there's a part right on the top. You're literally just going to wrap it around this part and kind of pull it just a little bit. All right. And it is time to put your thread through your bobbin because you've got to get the same color thread onto this little part. And this will make better sense in a minute if you've never seen what this does. And this might seem a little backwards, but what you're going to need to do is take your thread, and there's two little holes on your bobbin, on your blank bobbin. You're going to need to try to thread it through this direction so that it comes out on the end like that. And when you get it, just pull it. Okay, and just hang on to that so that you don't lose it. And what you're going to do is you're going to snap it, and you can hear mine. You're going to snap it onto your machine. And I just kind of hang on to mine for just a minute. And make sure your machine is on. Like I said, mine has a light that lets you know that the machine is on. What you're going to do is you're going to press the pedal foot in a minute, and that's going to be what winds it, what makes it go. You do have to snap it over. That way the needle knows not to push through. All right. And if you can see, under here it's starting to wind. And actually I can start letting go of the top part now. And keep winding. That's going slow. If I go fast, it's going to really go quickly. It does not have to be, your bobbin does not have to be completely full. This is actually a very full bobbin, but if you want to keep going, you can go as long as you'd like to until it pops, like I said, until it pops over. This is probably as full as I'm going to get mine. To take your bobbin off, you got to snap it back over, and you've got to cut your thread. Okay. And yank your bobbin off. And let's just set it to the side for right now, and let's actually thread our machine. Thankfully, we've already got the top part finished, so you don't have to redo that. Just make sure it's hooked under there really well, and you can check it if you need to. Part of mine just came off. But what we're going to do, there's one slit right here. We're actually going to take it straight down and wrap the thread around this wheel and bring it straight back up. Okay, now, it's going to be difficult to see, but inside your machine, there's a small silver loop, and there's a wheel right here on the side of your machine. Turn this wheel, and like you can see, it's going to move the needle up and down. That's okay. You're going to bring it all the way up till you see this silver part. In fact, my finger can touch it. Okay? We're going to, you'll be able to see it. There's a loop inside, and I'm just going to wrap it around that loop just to hook my thread. All right, and where I'm going to bring it right back down to the bottom, and I'm going to get down here to the needle. Okay, now, there's a little silver loop right here. I'm going to hook it inside of that loop. And you can kind of pull it out to pull the thread out to give you some more room. And now the last step comes in actually, let me get my thread a little better, is actually threading your machine. This can be the really tedious part because it's hard to see and the needle doesn't move. Okay. Make sure that your thread does not get tangled around this area or wrapped really strangely around the needle. Okay, and that straight line of thread is what you're wanting. And let me see if no, the light didn't help. Also, in this, this is just something that I make sure to do. I put my thread, this is called a pedal foot. This part, it kind of moves back and forth. It's supposed to be able to move like that. I put my thread underneath the pedal foot, and that way it kind of hangs off of the back right here. It just kind of hangs there. That's what you're wanting. And you are done with the top part. The only part that's left is we're going to actually thread the bobbin now. Okay, with my machine, you've got to pop the bottom section off. You can tell it's supposed to come off. Sometimes you got to work with it a little bit and it just comes off. Okay. Now, this part right here has a part for your finger. It just flips down. And if you can get, it's kind of going to be kind of tough to see, but this part actually has a little lever right here. Pull on that. Okay. And when you get it out, mine is empty because I didn't have one in there. If you're borrowing a machine or from somebody else or something, and you have something in there, just dump it out and pull the thread. And that'll be perfectly okay. All right, this is the bobbin that we wound up top. So what we're going to do is we're just going to slide that right in. And you should have a long tail right here. What you're going to do is around this whole circle, there should be one little spot that has a groove in it. Slip your thread through there, and you're going to try and wrap it. And sometimes you got to tug on it, and that's okay. You're going to tug it to where it gets into this open section. And I just kind of leave mine on this side of this little handle part. For me, that just makes it easier in a minute. Okay. I turn my bobbin back over and I kind of grab the little handle that's on the bobbin. That helps give me a firm hold. And if you look inside, there's a little groove right here. That's going to be where that little handle fits. Okay? So, let's put our bobbin in there and it should fit perfectly. Holding that little handle, it should fit right into that little spot right there where that hole is. The handle fits perfectly in there. And your thread is probably going to be hanging out like that. That's perfectly fine. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, I'm going to turn the wheel on the side right here, and it is going to move the needle up and down, but it's going to go very slowly. And it's okay if we don't have cloth under there. We're just going to catch this bottom thread, and we want it to be on the right beside this top thread that we've already done. All right, so I want you to watch down here as I'm turning the wheel on the side. I am going to watch for my thread, and I don't know if you can see it, but my top thread is right here. and get ready. We're going to actually pull when our thread starts wrapping around. We're actually going to, and actually probably around about now's the good time, I'm going to be pulling this thread, and you can still turn it a little bit. Now, if you look right here, it's very hard to see, but it has pulled our bottom thread. Now, if you can grab that with your fingers, that's fine. Sometimes I just take my scissors and I just kind of very carefully sweep it under here, and there's my bottom thread. And you can kind of just pull it, and you should have 2 threads, and you should be able to pull them with just a little bit of force. You shouldn't have to yank on them. If you've yanked on them, then try the process one more time to make sure, but just, you should be able to gently pull, and you have threaded your machine, and you are ready to sew. If you're not quite ready, like I'm not quite ready to sew a project yet, but I've got my thread ready, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the side, and I'm going to turn my light off, and I'm going to turn my machine off, and I'm ready for my next project.